I think I just got Jesus into trouble. I don't understand. You'd think that these people that love God, if you tell them God did something good, they'd be glad. Well, I'm glad. I'm very glad. I just spent 38 years as a cripple. Look at me now. When I first got sick, I was young. I thought, I'll get better. I'll get over this. But then the legs went. Didn't even feel like a man anymore. I couldn't do anything. I ended up down by the pool, by the sheep gate, you know, where all the people sit. I used to make fun of those people. I just think, why do they believe that stupid idea? The legend is that every now and then an angel comes down and stirs up the water, and then the first person who gets in the pool, that person's healed. But I didn't make fun of him anymore after I got sick. When you're sick and desperate, you'll believe almost anything. I sat there day after day. They call it the Pool of Bethesda, which means house of mercy. They should call it the house of the cutthroat. Everybody wants the same thing down there, and nobody's going to do you any favors. I try to get in all the time, but, you know, being a cripple, I was never the first one in. As soon as the water would stir up, mad rush, I'd be pushed out of the way. When you do something for that long and fail at it, you sometimes wonder why you're there at all. But where else did I have to go? Of course, we tried to keep our spirits up. Little trends would go on around the pool. You know, we tried to convince ourselves that it was all worth doing. For a while, it was all about possibility thinking. I thought it was possible that I was going to be the first one in the pool. But after I failed and failed and failed again, I realized the possibility might have been there, but it was highly improbable. Then it was all about, you know, keeping your promise. And we'd get together and we'd promise ourselves we were going to be the first one in the pool. And I promised myself. And then the water would stir up, mad rush. Never the first one in. Time and time again. I failed so many times. Instead of keeping my promise, I turned into a promise breaker. Oh, but the next one that came along, I liked that one. It was different. It had a spiritual component, you know. It was called the Prayer of Inez. There was this story from ancient history that this woman prayed this prayer that she'd be the first one in the pool, and she was. Well, we all started praying this prayer. They wrote a little book about it. Then there was a bigger book that you could get too. I bought that one. I bought the coffee table version. I got the Prayer of Inez t-shirt, the Prayer of Inez bracelet, the necklace, the beautiful wall hanging. When you're all praying that you'll be the first one in the pool, how many prayers like that can get answered? One. So that trend kind of passed. And then I couldn't even unload my Prayer of Inez stuff at a flea market. I don't know. The trends keep coming. I don't keep up with them anymore. The newest ones, I haven't even read them. Getting to the pool God's way. Oh, the pool-driven life. That's a big one. I don't know what's in that one, but I figure, you know, unless somebody actually comes and helps me into the water, physically takes me there, I'm never going to be the first one in. Then one day I'm sitting there looking at the water like every other day, and I hear somebody say to me, "Do you want to be made whole?" I say, I got no one to help me in the pool. So whenever the water stirs up, somebody always steps in front of me. I'm thinking, look around, Einstein. Then I think, who's Einstein? And I think, just look around. Don't you see everybody wants the same thing? Yeah, we all want to be made whole. I'm thinking, what's wrong with this guy? Can't he tell it's a bunch of lame, withered people sitting here all wanting to be made better? But then he says to me, rise up, take up your bed and walk. And before I can think of a bitter retort, all of a sudden I get this feeling in my legs. And that's amazing because I hadn't felt my legs in 38 years. And then it kind of comes up into my body. It kind of tickles. I want to laugh. Next thing you know, I'm up jumping around. I look around. It was so weird. I didn't know who did it. I looked around thinking, okay, somebody's going to give me a look, like, you know, the I just healed you look, but nobody did. No eye contact. I have no idea who just did this. It was weird. You know what else was weird? None of the people I was sitting there with for 38 years even noticed I was upstanding. One guy did kind of glance over, but it didn't register. He looked right back at the pool. But I understand. When you're that focused on your misery, it's hard to notice anything else. But I was walking. I was walking on air. I was just walking, and I saw a group of priests standing there, these ugly guys, and one of them, he looks at me, and he gives me this sour face. He says, "What are you doing carrying your bedroll on the Sabbath?" I said, "No, just take it easy. You know, I've been sitting over there for about 38 years as a cripple, over there by the pool, you know, where the people are. And today, somebody comes by and says to me, 'Rise up, take up your bed and walk.' And immediately I was healed." And to my way of thinking, if somebody could come and with just a word say something to you and heal you after 38 years, you ought to do what that person says. And then he said, "Well, who was it?" I said, "You're not going to believe this. I have no idea." That didn't make him happy, but later on, I was in the temple just worshiping God. That my long trial was over, and I hear the voice. It was the guy who healed me. I whirl around, we lock eyes, and he says to me, "See, you have been made whole. Go and sin no more, lest something worse come upon you." See, that went through me like nothing else. Because now I knew this was God. Because I had a secret nobody knew. Not one living soul knew that I did something 40 years ago. And that's why I was sick. Nobody knew. It was only God could know that. And this guy, he had to be from God because he wasn't 40 years old. He couldn't have been a witness. He's probably 30 years old. And he's telling me this. And so I knew that God not only had healed me on the outside, but he'd healed me on the inside too. And I didn't deserve it. I don't know why he did it. It wasn't because I had the best attitude or I did the program so good. It wasn't some book or anything else. It was just God's grace. That's all. It's just he gave it to me. I found out his name was Jesus. And I went to tell the priest that that's who healed me. I thought that they'd want to, honor him or give him some temple prize. But as soon as I mentioned his name, they started screaming, "He must die, he must die." And that's when I ran out. I don't understand. That's why I think I got Jesus in trouble. I don't know. But something tells me Jesus is so great, he'll even be able to handle these guys.